Hello, friends. Man, I want to welcome you again to this I Encourage podcast. And I think this is our third one. And, we've kind of spread them out over, a few weeks apart and kind of working out all the kinks. And soon we'll be providing a podcast, the I Encourage podcast. I think once a week, we're going to try and do it once a week to help you, to encourage you, and to help just, help you sometimes deal with just everyday struggles that you're having, maybe in your family, on your job, personal things that you might be struggling with. But we just want to be an encouragement to you. And not only do we want to be an encouragement to you, but we want you to go out and encourage others. I want to encourage people all over the world. And in turn, I would hope that they go out and encourage someone in their life, or someone they meet, or someone they come across in the supermarket, at work, wherever it might be, that we might be an encouragement to one another. I know there's a lot of things going on in the world today. I mean, you've heard of things that maybe cause fear, and some things are legit. Some things, they say that fear, an acronym for fear, is false evidence appearing real. And some things that we fear never happen. But some things, really, there are some things to be concerned about when it comes to the future. But I don't believe that we have to live in fear of what the future might hold. And so that's one of the reasons I want for this podcast, is to encourage you, to help you to be face life and go through life with encouragement. So again, thanks for joining us for this I Encourage podcast, and it's great having you, whether you're watching it in the morning, evening, afternoon. Thanks. Appreciate you so much, and I hope that something I say in these next few minutes will help you. Encouragement is so important. One of my favorite chapters in the Bible is Joshua chapter 1. I'm a person of faith and read the Bible often. I believe it helps us, in living our life. And as I said, one of my favorite chapters is Joshua chapter 1. And in Joshua chapter 1, this man named Joshua he has become the new leader of the nation of Israel. And they're on the brink of stepping in to the promised land, this land that God has promised them. And just before they're going to be crossing over a river, the River Jordan. And just before that, God speaks to Joshua. And in Joshua chapter 1, and if you have a Bible, I would encourage you to go there and read it here, sometime today, the next few days, while this podcast is still fresh on your heart. And it's 3 or 4 times that God tells Joshua, be strong and courageous. I love that. Joshua, be strong and courageous. Apparently, Joshua was dealing with a little bit of timidity in his life. And he's the new leader, and he saw the struggles that the previous leader went through. He was there serving Moses, who was the previous leader, and he saw all the struggles that Moses was having leading the people. And he was there when God said, okay, for this first generation, he said, okay, you're not going to the promised land. You're going to die in this wilderness. And so all of these things had to be on the heart of Joshua when he becomes the new leader of the nation of Israel. And God has to tell him, and God wants Joshua to be successful. And so he tells him, Joshua, be strong and courageous. But it doesn't end there. If you go to the end, near the end of Joshua chapter 1, not only did God tell Joshua to be strong and courageous, but the people around Joshua were telling him, Joshua, we're with you, be strong and courageous. Now, you've got something going good, my friend. When God's speaking something to you, and then all of a sudden the people around you are speaking the same thing that God is saying to you. Man, that's really something special. That's something special. And they were telling Joshua, be strong and courageous. We're with you. Be strong and courageous. And, all of us need people in our lives that will be encouragers, that will tell us, be strong and courageous. Not those that are continually discouraging us. Maybe they're an anchor, a continual anchor on the boat of our dream, and they're just continually negative, telling us all the reasons why something can't happen, instead of them standing with us and encouraging us, being an encouragement to us. Say whatever your name might be. Kenneth, that's my name if you don't know. Kenneth, be strong and courageous. I need people around me that are telling me, Kenneth, be strong and courageous. You need people around you. Tim, Mary, whoever you might be, Kathy, Tom, whatever your name might be strong and courageous. Betty, be strong and courageous. Justin, be strong and courageous. Tyler, be strong and courageous. Kayla, be strong and courageous. Stacy, be strong and courageous. Montana, be strong and courageous. Whatever your name might be, you need people around you that are continually telling you, be strong and courageous. Because, we're living in very interesting times. And by the way, we're not the only people that have been living in difficult times, all right? Throughout history, there's just been difficult time after difficult time that people have went through, some so much more than what we're experiencing even now in our lives. But my encouragement to you is to have people around you that are encouraging you, saying, yes, you can, yes, you can. And let me just add this thought to it as well. Are you encouraging others around you? Not only do I need people around me that are encouraging me, but I need to be encouraging others in their dreams and whatever they might feel like God's called them to do. Be an encouragement. I mean, how uplifting was it for Joshua to hear the people that were around him? Because, these are, I can't remember the exact number of people of the nation of Israel at this time. What I do know is that it was well over 1 million people that Joshua was called to lead across the River Jordan into the promise that God had for them. But yet he had a few people around him, the leaders around him, that were saying, Joshua, be strong and courageous, that were encouraging him, not discouraging him. Don't you know how uplifting that was for Joshua? Because he heard a lot of things that were happening with the previous leader, with Moses. There were times the children of Israel were ready to kill Moses and appoint another leader and go back to Egypt. How crazy was that? Go back to bondage. There were actually times, if you read the history of the nation of Israel start with the book of Exodus and begin to read there, and that there were times after God delivered them from Egyptian bondage that there were part of that group that wanted to go back to Egypt. They were mad at Moses. They were, upset with him. And why have you brought us out to this wilderness to die? And let's just appoint another leader. Let's just go back to the way it used to be. And so how encouraging was it for Joshua to hear the leaders around him saying, Joshua, be strong and courageous. Wow, that had to be so encouraging to him. And so let me just challenge you and encourage you, whatever place you might find yourself in, whether you're the leader or you're called to be around the leader, be an encouragement. If you're the leader, encourage those around you. If you're someone that's called to be in a support row around the leader of whatever organization it might be, it could be a church, it could be a business, or whatever it might be, friend. Whatever your place is there, be an encouragement to those around you, especially to the leadership, to those that are called to lead, like Joshua was called by God to lead the nation of Israel into the destiny that God had for them. Be an encouragement to people, and don't always be an anchor on the boat of the direction that God is leading something. There are times, we need to anchor out. We need to be here for a while, and we need to let God do what he wants to do in our life. But listen, God has been moving forward ever since the day he created the heavens and the earth. And so let me challenge you, let me encourage you to be an encouragement to others, and you'll be encouraged in turn. The Bible says that we reap what we sow. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. What is that saying? That whatever seed that you plant, that's what you're going to get in return. I mean, it's a principle of seed time, what we call seed time and harvest, from the beginning of the creation of the heavens and the earth. I mean, it's been seed time and harvest, and whatever you plant, you'll get back. So if you need encouragement today, if you're depressed, if you don't feel like moving forward, maybe it's time to encourage someone else. Maybe it's time to uplift someone else in your life. Encouragement will come back to you, I promise you, friend. Because whatever you plant, you'll harvest. And I planted a garden for the spring and summer, and I love to garden. There's just something about it, I just love tilling up that dirt and planting the seed in that soil. And when I planted, one of the things I planted that I really got a great harvest from was cantaloupe. I love to eat cantaloupe, and I planted those cantaloupe seeds in the mounds that I'd prepared for them, and I didn't sit there and expect to get watermelon from those cantaloupe seed. I mean, if I wanted watermelon, I would have planted watermelon seed. So it's so simple, really, isn't it? And sometimes we don't think about that. Although the watermelon vine is something similar, and you plant it in a mound, and it grows this vine, and it spreads out just like the cantaloupe does. I didn't plant cantaloupe seed expecting to get watermelon for a harvest. The simplicity of that. Well, it's the same thing in our life. And if you and I would just catch this, the same thing is that whatever we plant, that's what we're going to harvest. And so if I need encouragement in my life, I need to start encouraging others. I need to uplift them. And could it be, and I know sometimes this is a difficult thought, but really for me to want to help you, which I do, I want to encourage you, I've really got to be honest, okay, and tell you the truth. Is it possible that this discouraging moment that you're in life, is it just possible? And it could be possible that the reason that you're going through this is that because you're just reaping a harvest of some seed that you had previously planted. Wow. And sometimes we're wanting our circumstances to change when really we need to change what we're planting, because we're just reaping what we've planted. That's to help you. That's to help me, friend, to realize that I'm possibly living in a moment when what I'm experiencing is a result of the seed that I have been planting in my life. And so if I'm discouraged, I'm hopeless. I just see no way out. Everything in my life seems to be negative. Well, I just want to ask you a real simple question. In love, what seeds have you been planting, friend? Because that's the harvest that you will reap. And so if you're right now, you're harvesting something that just seems unhealthy. There's no joy in your life. There's no direction in your life. You're just, I don't know, what is the word we use? We're in a funk, we're in a rut. We just can't seem to get out. Maybe it's very possible that you are reaping a harvest of some seeds that you'd planted. That's not a negative thing to say to you. That's helping you realize, well, maybe I've planted some seeds back here that I need to change. So if what you're getting out of life isn't working, it's not working for you, maybe you need to change the seed that you are planting with your life, with your words, with your actions to other people. You know, as I mentioned, I'm a person of faith, and actually I'm a pastor. You can see here on my shirt, Encounter Church, and I love pastoring Encounter Church. I love the people that are here in Encounter Church. I love the people that God has blessed me with to pastor and to lead and to be their shepherd and to be their guide, along with the Holy Spirit in their life. He empowers me to lead this flock, and I love these people. I love them. And I thank God for them. And it's a joy to pastor them. And so, but I realized that in this season in my life that I'm enjoying pastoring the church because of seeds that I planted. You know, and if you happen to be listening to this podcast and you're like, man, I do not like the church that I'm pastoring. You know, I just, you know, I heard it said before, and it's been kind of joked about people that have been in ministry, maybe you know, a lead pastor, a youth pastor, or a worship leader, and they're just like, you know, I love ministry, but I hate people. Well, man, and we joke about that a lot. You know, if you hate working with people, you don't need to be in the ministry. Why? Because ministry is people. And let me just back up and rephrase that a bit. Maybe you need to step out for a while and allow God to heal your heart. Maybe you just need to step out for a while and say, okay, God, I realize I've been unhealthy in my attitude. I need some healing here, because this is what ministry is about, people. It's about serving people. It's about helping people. And we need to love what we do in every area. And that's just not for pastors. That's in every area, man. If you'll just love people and love what you do, friend, I promise you, you will reap a bountiful, wonderful harvest that you enjoy. Man, I just challenge you with that today. And I'm honestly going a totally different direction in this podcast today than I intended to. But I just feel like it's something I need to share. And then maybe next week I'll share something, what I wanted to share today. But I just feel like I need to share that today. Maybe, just maybe, you need to focus on the seeds that you've been planting in your life. Man, I don't have any friends. Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. What's that old saying? Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. I'm going to eat some worms. I have no idea where that came from, but that just sounds gross. Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. Maybe it's because you're in that place. You feel that way because, well, have you been friendly? Have you loved on people? Have you encouraged anybody? Have you stepped out? Just stepped out of your comfort zone and encouraged others, blessed others, been a friend to somebody else? Come on, I'm talking to somebody right now because I want to encourage you. Because, well, you know, could it be that you're reaping what you've harvested? Or reaping, what you planted. You're getting a harvest from what you planted. So think about it today. Think about it. Be not deceived. God is not mocked, the Bible says. It is a principle of, let me just back up and say this. I've heard people that aren't even believers, you know, in Jesus Christ. I've heard them say that law of reciprocity, of getting back what you've been giving. People that aren't even believers in God, I've heard them say, you know, that this law of planting and a harvest time, you know, seed time and harvest, and you're going to get back what you put into it. And all of that are just principles of really the universe, but they're biblical principles. They're godly principles. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever someone plants, they will reap. And so let me just encourage you again today. If you're in a place to where it's like, man, I'm not enjoying life, just go out and start encouraging somebody else. Hey, listen, here's the cool thing about planting a garden. You can always, I can remember last year's garden. I did not get hardly anything out of that garden. It was awful. I was frustrated. I felt like I'm paying a higher water bill because of all the water I've got to put on the garden. But yet, here's what I had the opportunity to do. Till that garden up again, plant seed again, and reap a harvest. And it was a wonderful harvest this year. And so here's what we all have the opportunity to do. If I'm at a point in life where I am not getting back in life what I desire, if it's just I'm depressed, I'm unhappy, all of these things that are negative going on in my life, I have the opportunity, you have the opportunity. It's really a wonderful opportunity to till up the ground again and plant some seed. Plant some seed for a harvest that you desire in the future. And I promise you, friend, you'll experience, you'll get a harvest of what you've been planting. So encourage someone today. That's my challenge to you. Be an encouragement to someone today. Well, I don't feel like it, Pastor. It's not about your feelings, okay? It's about a seed that you're planting. Be an encouragement. Go out. Bless someone else. Be to someone what you desire to receive in life and just see what happens. All right? And the last thing I'll say, for this podcast, man, I've got so much more I want to say. I could go on for probably a couple of hours today. Is that when I planted that, here's what I want to share with you. When I planted that seed, I didn't go out the very next morning and say, oh, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Man, Ken, he was just telling me something that it was a lie. It wasn't true. No, when you plant that seed, you have to keep watering that seed. You have to protect the ground that the seed has been planted in and keep the weeds out of the garden. It's almost a daily practice that you have to have of keeping the weeds pulled out of the garden so they don't overtake what you've planted. And so I didn't go out the next morning. I didn't go out a week later and say, well, man, where's the harvest from this seed? I mean, most of the seeds that I planted, the harvest was like 2 months, 3 months down the road. But I knew that. I read that. And on the seed that was planted, I read when I should expect a crop from that seed. But I took care of the ground. And also, when you plant something, when you start planting something that you want to see in your life, maybe you need encouragement and you want to start going out encouraging others. Just keep planting that seed, friend. Keep working that ground. Keep watering that seed that you planted. Keep the weeds pulled out of the garden. It's a process. It is a process, my friend. It's a journey that you and I are on. But I promise you that if you will continue to do those things, you will reap a harvest, friend. So as I'm wrapping this up today, I have no idea how long this lasted. But I need a clock over there. Maybe I'll get a digital clock that I can watch and see how long this is. But if you're out there today and you're really struggling, I want to be an encouragement to you. But maybe the best way that I can encourage you today is if you've been in a cycle of just discouragement and being discouraged and nothing seems to be working in your life, maybe you need to go back and change the seeds that you've been planting. That's the best way I can encourage you. Because I promise you, my friend, God said it. Whatsoever a man sows, that will he reap. Wow. Hey, I love you today. Thanks for joining me on this I Encourage podcast. I hope that I've said something today that will help you. And I trust that I'll see you again on a future podcast. But let me encourage you to go out and begin to encourage others. Our world needs encouragement. Hey, God bless you. I hope that you have a great day and that I see you again on the I Encourage podcast. Have a good one.